Hello and welcome to your 10-day trend from the Met Office. In short, the forecast is more of the same. The weather's just chopping and changing at the moment. There'll be some sunny days, particularly as we go through the weekend, but the overall picture into next week, changeable conditions. And if you're after a lengthy spell of warm weather, some summer-like weather, you may suggest, well, there's no real signs of that. Let's take a look at the next few days, though, because they do sum up quite nicely just how changeable things are going to be. This is Thursday's chart. Ridge of high pressure bringing most a fine day. Fast forward just one day to Friday. Low pressure in control. A weather front sweeping across the country, bringing cloud, outbreaks of rain and some brisk breezes too. But fast forward into the weekend, the low swings out of the way and another little bump in the isobars. A little ridge of high pressure promises for many a dry weekend with a bit of sunshine. Notice though there is another low just waiting in the wings. More on that in a moment because, as I say, the next few days chopping and changing, but there will be plenty of sunshine around. It's a fine day for most on Thursday. Yes, that rain's swinging in, although many eastern areas will stay dry till quite late on. And then the weekend, actually, apart from a few showers, looks largely dry and bright. But that low that we saw a minute ago does then arrive across the UK, bringing cloud and outbreaks of rain on Sunday night and into Monday. Some uncertainty about the timings of that and exactly how long it will last. Beyond that, well, we need to look at the bigger picture, both widely out across the Atlantic, where there is just a little ridge of high pressure, but also sets of low pressure system, areas of rain swinging out of Canada and the United States. And they will control our weather as we go into next week. Not only do we need to look west, but we also need to look further south. As is often the case at this time of year, the tropics can influence our weather. Now, this is a satellite image from the United States where they're tracking tropical storms. This is Tropical Storm Franklin in the Gulf of Mexico. We don't really need to worry about that, but this little area of cloud here has the potential to develop into something more interesting. Let's run through the sequence now and see how that does become an area of quite heavy rain, potentially drifting to the north of the Caribbean, nowhere near us through the course of this weekend, a long, long way off. But then, notice as we go into the early part of next week, it just starts to drift further north, and that's when it may start to have an influence on our weather, because it may get involved in the jet stream, that fast-moving ribbon of air that travels around the globe and particularly influences our weather, driving low-pressure systems our way. I'm going to show you now a snapshot, a computer model for early next week of how that low may influence things. That could be that low depression developing from the tropics, moving further north. Now, it won't be a tropical storm as it heads further north, but it could still influence things. Notice the colours there. It's bringing in a lot of warmth, also a lot of energy, and that may then influence things downstream and across the UK. In particular, could have an effect on this area of low pressure, which may well move across the UK towards the middle and latter part of next week. Now I'm going to show you the ensemble mean. This is computer-generated images of what the pressure pattern may look like across the UK, 12-hour intervals. Now, this ensemble means it's a computer that runs a computer model several times, and it's the mean, so it takes the average of those computer models. Now, I'm showing you this because it's really quite unusual as we get towards the end of the sequence. I'm going to zoom in on those now because this is Thursday and Friday next week. The blue is low pressure, and it's quite unusual to have such a strong signal this far out, 8 or 9 days ahead, for low pressure to be sitting over the UK. It doesn't bode well if you're after that dry and bright spell. Generally, the weather patterns for next week do look pretty unsettled with low pressure systems nearby. So we'll see spells of wet and windy weather, but there is that hint of something a little bit drier through the middle part of the week. Now, this is just a 10-day trend. It's just an idea of what the flavour of the weather may be. Things could change. There's always some uncertainty, and there's always going to be more uncertainty when you add in the influence of the tropics and that extra bit of energy. So for day-to-day detail, stay tuned to the forecast, and as ever, we'll keep you updated.